Now, a special report from KARE 11 investigates.
I never met any of these people.
Phantom housing services, forged names,
I did not sign this legal document.
luxury rides, and hundreds of fly-by-night companies.
You're billing thousands of dollars for work that's not being done.
Whistleblower confessions.
I committed Medicaid fraud.
Vulnerable people exploited.
And you're sitting there in the cold thinking, okay, any day now. And that any day never comes.
A safety net system spiraling.
Over $100 million a year in the program, and most of it's fraud as far as I can tell.
Revelations, raids, and reforms.
And it's because of the lessons learned on what KARE 11 did when AJ exposed the housing stabilization services.
Is anyone coming to talk with us?
Housing Hustle, a KARE 11 Recovery Inc. investigation. Thanks for joining us. I'm investigative reporter AJ Legault. We're taking you inside our reporting and the fallout that followed as our investigation uncovered what federal prosecutors now describe as organized crime on a grand scale. Taxpayers treated like a bottomless ATM. Private companies pocketing hundreds of millions of dollars for Medicaid-funded housing services that vulnerable Minnesotans did not receive. Some of them were already dead. Beneath the open sky of Lame Deer, Montana, on October 25th, 2022, a Native woman is laid to rest by family and friends. That very same day, 800 miles away in Minneapolis, Minnesota, records show Medicaid was billed by a for-profit company called Start Today Hennepin. They claimed they were helping the chronically homeless woman named Rolanda Rowland sustain stable housing, even though, by this point, the woman in the casket had been dead for 2 weeks.
I appreciate what they're doing, but it's not safe.
That's Rolanda in 2020, interviewed by KARE 11 for a report on unsafe conditions at the Powderhorn homeless encampment. That same summer, state lawmakers approved a new Medicaid program called Housing Stabilization Services, or HSS, overseen by the Minnesota Department of Human Services and funded by Medicaid. HSS reimbursed providers like Start Today Hennepin for helping people like Rolanda secure and maintain housing. But program billing quickly skyrocketed far beyond expectations, in 2024 alone topping more than $100 million. And for some, that growth still wasn't fast enough.
March 24th.
Senator Fate, Senate File 2741.
A bill that will address a critical delay in access to housing stabilization services, also known as HSS.
It's March 24th, 2025, and Senator Omar Fate is sole author of a bill he said would speed up access for people to be approved for HSS.
HSS is a lifeline.
A lifeline moving too slow, the senator claimed. At the time, there was a months-long enrollment backlog. DHS was overwhelmed as HSS companies signed people up by the thousands.
Delays that are putting people at risk of eviction, extended homelessness, and service lapses.
What wasn't known then is that the senator and Minneapolis mayoral candidate's own wife, Khaltoum Mohammed, was registered as founder and owner of Community Development Services, a company specializing in the very program he was seeking to expand.
It raises lots of red flags.
David Schultz, a political ethics professor, says introducing legislation that could benefit a family business, even one that in this case had not yet billed for clients, raises serious ethical concerns.
I think almost anybody schooled in, government ethics 101 would know that you can't introduce legislation that benefits yourself.
Senator Fate declined interview requests, said his wife was no longer affiliated with the company, and called it a manufactured scandal.
That was a false story.
A scandal that became a debate talking point in his failed mayoral bid.
Could the legislation have benefited her?
Absolutely not. It could not have benefited her.
The senator's proposal to fast-track HSS approvals ultimately failed, as KARE 11's investigation was about to expose the real problem was not slow access, but unchecked abuse.
Rather than actually serving vulnerable populations, it became a numbers game.
Fern Snedeker is a former housing case manager turned whistleblower. Fern worked for Start Today Hennepin, the company KARE 11 discovered had billed claiming to help Rolanda after she was already dead. Fern says they had a quota for the hours employees had to bill, and that's largely to blame for what you're about to hear.
You believe you committed Medicaid fraud?
Yeah, I committed Medicaid fraud, and I did provide services to folks, but because of the billable hours requirement, I felt forced in order to keep my job to commit Medicaid fraud.
Medicaid data reveals Start Today Hennepin was the state's top biller for HSS, paid more than $8 million. Fern says they were helping clients, but they exaggerated billing, and to make it look good on paper, their service timesheets were often fabricated.
Yeah, the timesheets didn't mean anything.
You were told it was okay to bill this way?
Yes, I was told by Marty that it was okay to bill that way, and it was a regular practice at Start Today.
Marty is Start Today's executive director, Marty Laughlin. When approached by KARE 11 to discuss billing, he said he could not talk to us.
The owner of the company, had a luxury car, was going on lavish vacations.
Start Today is owned by Jennifer Porter, who on social media advertises her life as one of champagne, caviar, luxury rides, Vegas trips, and exotic travel. She too declined interview requests. However, KARE 11 uncovered records from inside Hennepin Health, the county-run Medicaid insurance provider, that backed up what we were hearing from the whistleblower. In July 2024, the county's Special Investigations Unit accused Start Today of overbilling, fabricating, and falsifying documentation, just like Fern describes.
We would either double bill for two clients in the same household, or we would exaggerate the hours to meet a billable hours requirement that Start Today had set up.
Hennepin Health records reveal Start Today's owner admitted to investigators that her company's records were inaccurate, claiming with their hundreds of clients, they didn't have time to keep accurate records. The county banned her from further billing, citing multiple examples of fraud. But inexplicably, DHS took no action at the time and allowed the company to continue billing other Medicaid insurance providers. KARE's investigation discovered Start Today billed for HSS service that somehow occurred after at least 3 clients, including Rolanda Rowland, had passed away. Her Medicaid was charged on her death date and every business day for 3 weeks after she was dead, for services largely required to be provided in person.
In an email to KARE 11, Start Today's lawyer denied any allegation that the company committed or condoned intentional fraudulent billing.
Still ahead, we go from billing for the dead to forging records for the living. Our investigation discovers companies billing for clients they've never met.
I never met with them. I've never even seen them.
Housing Hustle continues after the break.
Here we go.
You're on a stakeout with KARE 11 Investigates at an out-of-the-way office building in Brooklyn Park. The man getting behind the wheel and blacked-out windows of that luxury ride runs a company called Leo Human Services. This is one of their advertisements. They're paid millions in tax dollars to help find and maintain housing for people with disabilities like substance use disorder.
I've never got an hour of help.
Stephen Smith is in addiction recovery. He says he found his own housing, but recently discovered Leo Human Services claimed to help him.
Yeah. Crazy.
That help? Billed to Medicaid for $12,000.
We have a bill for $755, and then $531 again at the very bottom for another bill for $755.
Stephen remembers getting a few phone calls, but that's it.
I never met with them. I've never even seen them.
The Minnesota Department of Human Services oversees the Housing Stabilization Services, or HSS program. Their rules clearly state HSS services are medical Medicaid services, and some of them must be provided in person.
Who are you? You never helped me.
Stephen is not the only one to tell us they never met anyone from Leo Human Services.
I have no idea who this person is. None.
Due to safety concerns, Rachel Lean, Stephen's girlfriend, asked we not show her face.
I had never heard of this company. I never met with them. I never talked with them on the phone. I had no idea who they were. I'd never even heard of them before. Hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Her records reveal Leo Human also billed her Medicaid for $14,000 in just 8 months.
I was literally flabbergasted. Who is Leo Human Services? Who are they?
They are a for-profit company run by this man, Assad Adow, out of the Brooklyn Park office and this Blaine home where he still lives with his parents. State data shows Leo Human Services is one of the state's top 10 HSS billers. In 2024, charging taxpayers $1.2 million, part of an exploding Medicaid program. Since its launch in July 2020 through the end of 2024, KARE 11's data analysis discovered HSS has cost taxpayers a total of $260 million.
Hey, Mr. Adow? AJ Legault from KARE 11. I need to ask you some questions because we're hearing about clients that are saying you're fraudulently billing Medicaid in their name.
Yes, sir.
He did not want to answer questions.
I'm tired. I just got out of work. This is not a cool time, man. This is not a cool time.
Well, we've emailed you and haven't heard back.
We have so much work to do. I mean, I'm being asked questions here.
Well, people say you're not doing work, that you're billing thousands of dollars for work that's not being done.
Come on, man. Let's take the proper channels, man. I'm doing everything I am correctly, and we can take the proper channels.
Well, you've got my contact information.
Bad, bro.
At KARE 11's request, Stephen asked Leo Human Services for his client records, and we discovered something unusual. They emailed him this housing consultation, which says he legally signed it.
I did not sign this legal document.
Stephen points to the odd way his name is listed.
I've never signed my signature junior. Why would I say that I'm Stephen Junior Smith? Well, my middle name is actually Stephen Dwayne Smith.
Documents like this often leave a trail. A little digital forensics by KARE 11, extracting the metadata,
Look at this,
revealed what was hidden. The signature wasn't his.
Wow. Wow.
Stephen's signature.
Oh, man.
Which he allegedly signed on 8/28/23, was in fact authored the next day, 8/29, by someone named Watts Haneen.
Who's Watts Haneen?
I don't know who Watani is.
We have documentation that shows you provided this record, and it's allowing your company to bill for somebody, and their name, they didn't sign it. It looks like it was forged, sir.
Nothing was forged, man.
As we investigated Assad, we discovered fraud was a family affair. He had a younger brother with an HSS company called Liberty Plus, which was also forging records and exploiting desperate people.
Downpouring rain. I couldn't imagine being in a tent right now or under the bridge trying to stay dry.
Julie Quiros knows all too well what it's like to be without shelter as storms rage. She spent the Minnesota winter living out of her car.
And to wake up freezing ice cold and having to go outside and pee, and you can't move because you're so damn cold, it sucks. It really, really sucks.
We met Julie at a friend's place. She's still homeless, battling a past of addiction and mental illness.
I guess life likes to throw you with curveballs now and then, you know, and shit happens. I guess depression hits you and it just consumes you.
She's found it hard to find housing. In the fall, desperate for a place to live, she responded to this Liberty Plus ad, taped in a gas station bathroom, promising help.
Ad in the bathroom at Holiday. Like they had a pamphlet, like a flyer that said, need housing, need help with housing, housing stabilization services, and they put their name and their number.
But Julie says she didn't meet anyone from Liberty Plus, just gave them her Medicaid insurance info.
Over the phone, just over the phone.
Despite promises, no housing help came, and winter arrived.
And then to be waiting and just being filled with hope, like, oh, we're gonna get you housing, we're gonna get you housing any day, and you thinking, you're sitting in there in the cold thinking, okay, any day now, and that any day never comes.
KARE 11 tried to look them up, but Liberty Plus's website appeared as hollow as their promise to help Julie, filled with stock images of supposed employees named caregiver name. State filings show Liberty Plus, founded in 2022, is run by a 25-year-old named Anwar Adow and registered to the same Blaine house as Leo Human Services, the HSS company run by his brother, Assad. Our investigation had discovered a family fraud factory.
Lined in their pockets, while the rest of us are being out here homeless broken with nothing.
State data reveals in 2024, Liberty Plus billed Medicaid $772,000, a jump from the prior year of more than 17,000%. Liberty Plus never responded to KARE 11's emailed interview request. When Julie asked the company for her billing and service records, they left her a voicemail.
Hey, Joan, just reaching out here from Liberty Plus with the Housing Stabilization Service.
Terminating her as a client.
That's for us to part ways regarding providing services.
7 months of housing hope wasted. Julie knows she can't stay at her friend's forever.
National Weather Service in the Twin Cities has issued a tornado warning.
Might hit.
And new storms strike when least expected.
Well, we're upstairs on the top floor. We'll be okay.
We had to end our interview right there, with tornado sirens echoing across the Twin Cities. Our investigation was about to release a storm of accountability as we untangled an interconnected web of businesses exploiting our state's most vulnerable. That's still ahead. We'll be right back.
You're walking along with KARE 11 Investigates, following the money trail to a company billing taxpayers millions.
We're going to go pay the Brilliant Minds offices a visit.
Brilliant Minds Services provides Housing Stabilization Services, or HSS, a Medicaid-funded program designed to help people with disabilities find and maintain housing. Their listed headquarters is the Griggs Building in St. Paul.
Suite 120, so it's right here.
What led us to this door?
Door's all locked up.
Is a story buried.
So Brilliant Minds started 3/8
in Medicaid billing records.
Over $2,000 in supposed support that they gave me.
Remember Rachel Lean, the woman who asked us not to show her face?
Leo Human Services put in a bill for me for $961.
She told us a company she'd never heard of, Leo Human Services, had billed her Medicaid thousands. But that's not all. Going over her records with KARE 11, she discovered another company billing her insurance at the same time.
The very next day, Brilliant Minds billed $1,648 for me. Scam. 100% scam.
Rachel's story begins at RS Eden, a Minneapolis addiction treatment center. In February 2024, Rachel, previously homeless and battling addiction, was successfully completing treatment. She'd already signed this lease for an apartment, a new start on a sober life with her young son. A friend told her Brilliant Minds, an HSS provider, could help. She texted the Brilliant Minds contact, Aiden, saying she had already found a place and, at this point, I need help getting things for my apartment, like a vacuum and cleaning supplies. We got you for sure, she was told.
They weren't helping you find housing?
No, not at all.
Then came this text.
Hello, my name is Mohammed, and I am your direct housing coordinator from Brilliant Minds.
There's some back and forth texts about setting up a meeting that Rachel says never happened.
I never met with them. I never did any type of housing plan.
Unbeknownst to Rachel, Brilliant Minds began billing Medicaid.
Hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Claiming to help her find housing. At KARE 11's request, Rachel emailed Brilliant Minds asking for her detailed records. They show Mohammed met with Rachel in person on March 8th for 3 hours, from 9 a.m. to noon, and they spent a quality amount of time getting to know one another. RS Eden records prove Rachel was actually in treatment at that exact time, not getting to know the young man in this Facebook photo.
Probably submitted a claim, lied, and said that he met with me.
Between March 8th and April 6th, Brilliant Minds claim Mohammed spent 30 hours assisting Rachel with her housing search and application process, billing Medicaid more than $2,000. Remember, she already had housing. Rachel texted on March 20th.
I said, "Hi, Mohammed. I moved into my new place. I'm in need of help transferring my electricity into my name because I have a very large past bill that I'm unable to pay. Also, I need a vacuum cleaner very badly. Can you help me with this?"
Right after being texted that Rachel was in her new place, records show Brilliant Minds billed Medicaid as if Mohammed spent 6 hours trying to find her a new place.
The Brilliant Minds records claim on March 22nd and 23rd, Mohammed researched affordable housing and delivered household items to Rachel.
Yeah, there's no way. There's just no way.
She has proof. Days later, on March 27th, Rachel texted her original Brilliant Minds contact, Aiden, that she had not been helped with anything, never met with the worker assigned to her, and was starting to think this whole housing stabilization service is just a scam. The text chain shows Aiden apologized and sent Mohammed over to her home.
They just showed up one day and gave me a vacuum cleaner, and that was it.
Even after being at her apartment, records show Brilliant Minds billed taxpayers for 12 more hours, supposedly trying to find her an apartment.
Nobody's here. Let's try giving them a call.
That's why KARE 11 is standing at their door.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless. Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check
the phone disconnected. Every time we visited, during listed business hours, the office dark and locked.
This looks like a dead end.
Secretary of State filings list another mailing address in Woodbury for Brilliant Minds. We tried there. The home? Vacant.
There's a realtor's box on the door. It doesn't look like anybody's living here.
No one living there, but our investigation found the same address registered to a web of suspiciously interconnected businesses, including yet another HSS company called Foundation First.
Did you meet Foundation First?
No. I had no idea who the hell they were.
Disabled Marine Corps veteran Jesse Kingbird is homeless. We caught up with him at a family member's. He tried to sign up for housing stabilization, but was denied by the state. Why? Because they claimed he was already signed up with a different provider, someone he'd never heard of.
It really pissed me off.
The company that claimed to do his HSS consultation, Foundation First.
Like, I had no idea who these people are. I never heard these names before.
Is that your electronic signature on that document?
No, it's not. It's not at all. I don't even know how to do that.
He was not alone in accusing Foundation First of forging legal signatures on records that allowed Medicaid to be fraudulently billed.
It's supposed to be right there. Supposedly that is my signature.
You're saying it's forged?
Yeah, it has to be.
Tracking down Foundation First brought us back to the Griggs building, where they too claim to have an office. Different companies, same pattern.
Our investigation discovered this place is home to about 24 companies billing Medicaid for housing stabilization services. It also has ties to companies caught up in the Feeding Our Future scandal.
Foundation First office has no signage. In an email, its owner, Abdi Fattah Mohammed, denied wrongdoing and initially agreed to meet for an interview, but then backed out, writing, "On the advice of legal counsel, we will not be engaging in further direct communication with you." Brilliant Minds also refused to meet for an interview, which brings us back to Rachel's apartment and that vacuum cleaner, the one and only thing she ever got from Brilliant Minds.
Taxpayers paid $2,000 to this company for you to get a vacuum cleaner.
Yes. Yep. That's it.
Still ahead, reforms, raids, and reckoning as our investigation exposed how the state's safety net became a sieve for fraud.
The HSS program is riddled with fraud. The story has become all too familiar.
Housing Hustle continues after the break.
We're not putting up with it.
And we're done with this. I mean, this is not, it can't happen anymore. And so thank you for pointing this out to us.
Fed up with seeing stories of fraud and with just days left in the 2025 legislative session, lawmakers scrambled to introduce reforms while the Department of Justice prepared to launch a strike.
So you uncovered once again something that we should, as a system, been on top of.
Usually, at Minnesota's Capitol, you don't find Republicans and Democrats in lockstep. Usually.
And some people get actually come to harm or even die because of this kind of fraud.
And that's what it's all about. It's that life and death. And here we are, the most vulnerable people, the poorest of the poor, people with disabilities and our elderly. Somebody is taking totally advantage of that.
Minnesota Senators, Democrat John Hoffman and Republican Jim Abler, responded to KARE 11's investigation exposing fraud and predatory bad actors exploiting the homeless.
You know what I could do with $100 million? You know, we could actually...
You could house every homeless person in the state.
Yes, you could.
The senator said reform had to happen before the 2025 legislative session ended.
You've only got what? We got a week left from when we're sitting here?
We're going to have something. We will.
It needs to be done?
Yes, needs to be done.
Absolutely.
The legislature went to special session, so they got more than a week. But the bipartisan reforms got done, totally rewriting state statute on how HSS is delivered.
It's really getting some transparency and accountability in the process.
Among the numerous new requirements passed, mandated background studies for owners and employees of HSS companies. Consultations with clients must be provided in person. And in order to bill, signatures are required by service recipients to verify accuracy.
And it's because of the lessons learned on what KARE 11 did when AJ exposed the housing stabilization services. So it was an immediate response to what we saw. So I appreciate that work.
Across town, at the federal courthouse, the work of justice was just getting started. Agents from numerous federal and state agencies launched a sweeping series of coordinated raids on the businesses and homes KARE 11 had profiled, hauling away computers, documents, and boxes of evidence.
Federal agents are walking out the door with boxes right now.
At the Griggs Building raid on Brilliant Minds and Foundation First, we spotted the acting U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson walking out.
Mr. Thompson, can we ask you a question or two?
Oh, yeah, hey.
It looks like federal agents are raiding a number of housing stabilization companies. What can you tell us about what's going on?
All I can say is we're doing search warrants.
What's the goal of this investigation, or what are you looking for?
We're investigating fraud and obviously to stop fraud.
The unsealed search warrant detailed an investigation into a massive scheme to defraud the Housing Stabilization Services Program, taking advantage of the housing and drug addiction crises. It cited KARE 11's investigation. Among the companies targeted was Pristine Health. KARE's investigation had exposed how they had partnered with Foundation First to bill thousands of dollars claiming to help Ben and Haley Gutowski find housing, but never even met with them and left their family homeless.
They just billed us for nothing.
Agents also raided the Blaine home of brothers Anwar and Asada Dow, seizing stacks of cash, more than $88,000 found hidden in bedrooms, under mattresses, in safes, and in a suitcase beneath the stairs. The search warrant detailed how fake provider notes done by Leo Human appeared to be generated by artificial intelligence. Remember how KARE 11 found forged client signatures? That digital forensics discovery that someone named Watts Haneen actually signed Stephen Smith's name on legal records, allowing Asada Dow's company to bill thousands of dollars to Medicaid?
They didn't sign it. It looks like it was forged, sir.
Nothing was forged, man.
The forged signature, authored by Watts Haneen, was listed in the search warrant as evidence of fraud.
Obviously, fraud's a huge problem in Minnesota, and hopefully they'll help put a stop to some of it.
The federal raids sent shockwaves across the state as Minnesota took unprecedented action. The state suspended more than 100 companies from billing Medicaid, and later, determining fraud was so pervasive it could not be stopped, terminated the entire housing stabilization program. In short, Governor Walz had finally seen enough.
My advice to those companies would be to get a lawyer now.
Even as the state scrambled to take action, our investigation was not done. And what we discovered next revealed the agency that was supposed to be the watchdog had been asleep at the switch.
Coming up.
Wow. So they had credible allegations of fraud and bribery.
Housing Hustle continues after the break.
Welcome back. Bribes, falsified records, and taxpayers charged to help dead people find housing. We wanted to know, how does that happen? Year after year, we discovered the state agency supposed to stop it wasn't just late to act, they ignored repeated warnings. Fancy cars, fly-by-night companies.
You're billing thousands of dollars for work that's not being done.
Fake meetings.
They just billed us for nothing.
Forged names.
I did not sign this legal document.
Homeless veterans.
I never met any of these people.
Dead people billed. phantom services.
For that $14,000, you got what?
Nothing.
Vulnerable people with real needs exploited.
And you're sitting there in the cold thinking, okay, any day now, any day now. And that any day never comes.
We've now discovered that all these allegations exposed in our investigation were not new news to the state agency that was supposed to be the watchdog. The Department of Human Services, DHS, had been, for more than a year, warned repeatedly.
It's stunning.
GOP State Rep Kristen Robbins chairs the House Fraud Committee and reviewed what KARE 11 uncovered. Hundreds of pages of documents that tell a to-date untold story about ignored fraud warnings in a program that by 2024 skyrocketed in cost to more than $100 million.
Oh my gosh.
The records coming to light through a KARE 11 data request to Hennepin County, which operates its own managed care organization. Think insurance company for clients on Medicaid. It's called Hennepin Health, and they were sounding the alarm. March 15th, 2024. Hennepin emailed DHS spelling out patterns of behavior and billing that raised our eyebrows. A DHS employee responds, "I have forwarded this information to our fraud department to investigate." The next month, DHS is warned in writing that an HSS provider is offering bribes to people outside the Salvation Army, $50 to get forms filled out.
Wow. So they had credible allegations of fraud and bribery.
So, what happened? On May 6th, Hennepin emailed DHS's Office of Inspector General asking if county complaints about kickbacks being offered are making their way to their team. An OIG manager responded, "A quick search of our case tracker fails to reveal any related referrals, and we're flying blind so far."
We're flying blind. So, stunning. Goes in a black hole and no one even knows that these referrals are being made.
2 months later, Hennepin Health sent DHS an official fraud referral for the state's largest HSS biller, a company called Start Today Hennepin. County investigators substantiated fabricated records and billing for service that occurred after 3 recipients had passed away.
And instead of stopping payment and doing the investigation, nothing happens.
By November, Hennepin Health asked DHS for a direct meeting to discuss all the billing fraud they'd uncovered at numerous HSS providers.
Patterns of overbilling, poor notes, no notes, and fraud.
DHS agrees to a meeting for December 12th. A manager writing, "We all want to avoid housing stabilization becoming the next poster child for government program fraud, waste, and abuse."
Well, clearly that didn't happen.
At that December meeting, Hennepin's PowerPoint presentation for DHS detailed bribes, money, meals, and bus cards, and members not receiving any HSS services, even though services are being billed. The county was fed up. They began banning multiple HSS providers from billing their clients, including Start Today, whom they cited for multiple examples of fraud and demanded repayment of $141,000. But DHS took no action and allowed other insurance providers to continue being billed.
Hennepin Health stopped the payments to that provider, and DHS continued to provide payments. It's unconscionable.
Yet even as those verified warnings stacked up, DHS leaders told lawmakers the problem was mostly rumor.
Because there's a lot of rumors of fraud more than there is actual fraud.
In a January Senate hearing, 10 months after Hennepin sent its first warning, then DHS Commissioner Jody Harpstead said she believed there was no massive widespread fraud in DHS programs because her Inspector General team was on top of it.
People know it, and they didn't dare try to do that in our licensed or unlicensed services.
Harpstead left her job a few weeks later, replaced by temporary Commissioner Shireen Gandhi, who previously served as Deputy Commissioner and Chief Compliance Officer.
I think the team did not understand, we did not understand the sophistication of fraud that was happening here at DHS in this program.
It wasn't until May 1st that KARE 11 published our first investigation exposing alleged HSS fraud that DHS began taking urgent action to change how they background and screen HSS providers.
Did the department act urgently enough when it first started learning that there might be widespread fraud in this program?
That's a good question, and I think in hindsight, no. If we knew then what we know now, we would have been acting a lot faster.
2 months later, the feds started raiding the HSS businesses KARE 11 had spotlighted, citing a massive scheme to defraud. And finally, on August 1st, temporary Commissioner Gandhi announced plans to terminate the entire program due to a lack of ability to stop fraud.
Who here at DHS is being held accountable for allowing this fraud to get so far out of control?
I think all of us have to be accountable. It's going to take all of us to put the state in a better position to fight these criminals.
But just 1 week after that interview aired, a surprise announcement at a fiery Capitol fraud hearing.
I get a call at 7:30 and the department announces they fired the person responsible for housing stabilization services and homelessness.
That's still ahead in the conclusion of Housing Hustle.
This has gone on for far too long.
In the shadow of the Capitol Dome, Rachel Lean deciding to step into the light.
I think it's time to tell my story and let other people know that it's okay to come out and tell their story too.
She first told her story to KARE 11, a story of being exploited by housing stabilization providers who falsified records and billed her Medicaid.
Never met with them.
But she stayed in the shadows, fearing her safety.
How would you describe that $14,000 that was billed to your Medicaid?
Fraud. On every level.
But now, she's at the Capitol to testify publicly.
Welcome to the committee, Ms. Lean.
As the House Fraud Committee examines how the Housing Stabilization, or HSS program that was supposed to help homeless people find housing went so wrong.
I think I speak for everyone in the recovery community when I say that we are sick and tired of the rampant fraud and people getting rich off the backs of our addiction.
She called out the Department of Human Services for ignoring her for 6 months after she called them to report the fraud. She didn't hear back until after KARE 11 told her story.
Within days of my story airing in May, a senior investigator finally called me back. I can't help but think that if I had not contacted KARE 11, would we even be here today discussing this?
The fraud hearing?
Did no one at DHS?
Filled with fireworks.
Happened to be the day
a surprise announcement.
I get a call at 7:30 and the department announces they fired the person responsible for housing stabilization services and homelessness.
Eric Grumdahl, the assistant commissioner in charge of the HSS program, had just been terminated. At the hearing, DHS's new Inspector General, James Clark, took center stage, revealing the fraud had reached new depths.
We're seeing webs or rings of connected providers that are working together to commit fraud. I've also seen businesses committing fraud that have tentacles throughout the Medicaid program.
He revealed Medicaid billing was suspended for 115 companies, which had combined to bill taxpayers more than $100 million.
I've seen indications of fraudulent AI-generated healthcare records. There are entire agencies as opposed to individual employees committing fraud. That means that fraud is the business model.
Suite 120. So
Lawmakers questioned why a KARE 11 investigation found what the government watchdogs had not.
They saw payment to dead people, fake meetings, forged signatures, bribes, phantom services, kickbacks, fly-by-night companies. Not difficult things to see.
I think that the reporting that AJ Legault has been very helpful to us. It was very helpful to see the work that he did and what he uncovered.
As for Rachel,
my hope is that by doing this, others will tell their stories and real change will be made so something like this never happens again.
On this day, her story was heard.
Thank you, Ms. Lean.
Thank you.
You raising your voice and speaking out is making huge changes throughout state government, and we really appreciate it.
1 day later, at the federal courthouse,
we're here to announce the first round of indictments.
Minnesota's fraud story turned yet another page.
The HSS program is riddled with fraud. The story has become all too familiar.
KARE 11's investigation credited as federal wire fraud charges were announced in what was described as a systematic and wholesale attack designed to overwhelm Minnesota's Medicaid system.
We rely on tips. That's how we find cases. And sometimes it's through reporting, like AJ here. Despite the hundreds of millions of dollars in payments that have gone out from the state of Minnesota to housing stabilization services companies, most of these individuals did not receive the stable housing they so desperately needed. The money was just simply stolen.
8 company executives were charged, including the owners of Brilliant Minds and Foundation First. Mokhtar Aden and Abdi Fattah Mohammed showed up to court, faces masked to hide from our cameras. They pleaded not guilty and are awaiting trial.
Mr. Adal, can we ask you some questions?
Assad Adow and his brother Anwar both quickly folded, pleading guilty to wire fraud.
How many vulnerable people did you leave sitting in a snowbank so you could line your own pockets?
Assad wouldn't answer any of our questions, but admitted in court he used the millions he stole to invest in real estate in Kenya and lease that BMW KARE 11 had asked him about months earlier.
Did you buy this car with all the money you're billing taxpayers?
I didn't buy this car, but you guys asking too many questions, all right?
The reporters in this room have been asking the right questions and doing their own investigative reporting to identify fraudulent companies and schemes. And if there's a hopeful note, the state and its politicians are starting to take notice about the problem.
Even as Minnesota's HSS program was terminated, KARE's investigation uncovered signs the same business model.
They're billing. Never been there before.
The corporate practice of phantom services and forged records had infected even more Medicaid programs, like adult rehabilitative mental health services.
Until you saw their name on your insurance billing, had you ever heard of this company?
No. It's like, who are you? I don't know who you are.
We found vulnerable people living with physical and mental disabilities who relied on the state's Integrated Community Supporter ICS program being exploited.
They say that your home is in your heart.
Due to alleged fraud by her provider, Skylar Hansen was forced into homelessness.
Right now, I stay inside of a church. It's a shelter.
Mickey Clemmer's son, Rick, died.
He's got rigor and lividity, so he's been deceased for a long amount of time.
Records show an ICS company was billing for 12 hours of in-person services for Rick each day. But when he died, a worker told investigators they actually only checked on him once a day.
I mean, to be honest, as like, you do, I do my daily check-ins. I have no idea what he does.
These vulnerable people need help. You're billing for them, then give them the help. And if you're not, that's fraud.
Here in late 2025, as I'm recording this, the fraud we've exposed that has overrun Minnesota's safety net systems has become a national political flashpoint.
In the wake of an unsubstantiated report by the conservative online outlet City Journal that Minnesota fraud proceeds are making their way into the hands of the Somali terrorist organization Al-Shabaab, President Trump weighed in, calling Minnesota under Governor Walz a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. The president also unleashed a tirade of vitriol and launched an immigration crackdown targeting Minnesota's Somali community.
I don't want them in our country.
But that's Donald Trump. Deflect, demonize, come up with no solutions. He's not going to help fix anything on fraud.
With Minnesota's governor on the defensive over fraud on his watch, the White House administration is ramping up pressure.
When these scammers realized that nobody was guarding the cash register, they went gangbusters. One program designed to provide housing stabilization assistance to patients ballooned to $104 million.
In a video and letter posted December 5th to social media, Dr. Mehmet Oz, the head of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, threatened to withhold all federal funding to 14 Minnesota Medicaid programs if the Walz administration doesn't comply with a series of corrective steps to prevent future fraud.
Our message to Walz is clear. Either fix this in 60 days or start looking under your couch for spare change, because we are done footing the bill for your incompetence.
There are those, like the president, who turned this into a racial issue rather than a crime issue.
To tackle the crime issue, Walz announced the appointment of Tim O'Malley as the statewide head of program integrity.
Minnesotans deserve
to know that their tax dollars are being put to good use.
O'Malley is currently the state's interim chief administrative law judge. He's a former FBI agent and served as BCA superintendent under Republican Governor Tim Pawlenty.
While I'm honored that Governor Walz has asked me to assist in combating fraud here, know that I'm not here to serve him. I'm not here to serve any individual, and I'm not here to serve a political party. I'm here to serve Minnesotans.
During a question and answer session, KARE 11 asked how the state so badly missed hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud that in January, the then DHS Commissioner Jody Harpstead said this.
Because there's a lot of rumors of fraud more than there is actual fraud.
Governor, how did we go from earlier this year, the former commissioner of DHS, sitting here at the Capitol and telling Minnesota there's more rumors of fraud than there is actual fraud, to what we're hearing today?
I certainly never said that. I never at once said that.
What I'm asking about is the messaging from the state, though. The commissioner of DHS sat here and told the Senate
That commissioner is not here.
Fraud.
That commissioner is no longer working for the state of Minnesota, and I never said such a thing. So I think you understand the accountability pieces that go with this.
DHS's current acting commissioner, Shireen Gandhi, said right now, at the end of 2025, they have 1,300 open fraud investigations.
If you get caught stealing from Minnesota's most vulnerable people, I hope you go to prison.
Our investigation into the fraud and fallout is far from over. On behalf of the KARE 11 Investigates team, thank you for watching Housing Hustle, a Recovery Inc. investigation.